All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Joseph Peters. I want to welcome everybody to tonight's business meeting. Tonight, we will also continue our topic we started last week, the Rich Dad and the Poor Dad book. And we went into deep explanation of the whole essence of the book and why that book is very, very relevant to what we are all into today. So tonight, I'll be continuing part 2. And in a very short period of time, we will be able to cover this side. We will cover like chapter 2 of it. The Rich Dad Poor Dad book was written by Robert Kiyosaki many years ago, precisely in 1997. And that book was published basically to handle everybody's personal finance, self-help, mainly financial education. Because you see, for people to be wealthy, you really need to be educated financially. It's like when you're sick, you go to the doctor. When you are spiritually inflicted, you go to a pastor or a spiritual person. But when you have trouble with finance, you need to go to coaches or people who are financially educated that can teach you about finance. So this book is one of those financial help, self-help that can help people to break loose from poverty. And in that book is mentioned and talk about two characters, the poor dad and the rich dad. The poor dad happens to be the writer's biological father. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. He declared that the poor dad happens to be his father, who actually was a very highly educated man, very well respected, well known. He worked in the government establishment, and he also has a PhD, but yet he was poor. Not that he wasn't making money or he wasn't collecting good salary, but compared to his expenses. And then he likened his father as a poor man, and likened his friend's dad, his friend is Mike, father, as a rich dad. And what he's talking about was that the man was an entrepreneur. He has what is called financial mindset. What are the takeaway? What about is the story? These 2 9-year-old boys wanted to be rich, and they were asking how to be rich from Mike's dad. Mike's dad decided to teach them how to be rich, and on one condition, that they must work for free for him. And we had a very huge lesson from that chapter. The book explored the stark difference in mindset, education, and decision making between the two men. He explained, put an emphasis on how financial literacy and proactiveness approach will make the difference in how people make wealth and independence in life. So it's not the amount of money you collect as salary that determines how your life would evolve. It is how you manage that salary, how you manage that income that determines how your financial life will evolve. He also encourages readers to think beyond traditional employment, to value financial education, to build assets, and understand the fundamentals of investing, entrepreneurship, and money management. So the whole focus what we're talking about tonight is about why you should go and learn more about financial education. Financial education is one of the things that's going to help you to change your financial status. It's going to help you to improve on your mindset, because most of the time, most of us, we are stereotyped. We think in one direction. And when people start to show us another direction, we try to fight it because we feel like this is not the normal way we have been raised or trained to think. In a normal way, if you have to be rich, you want to change your financial status, you have to change the way you think. You have to start thinking in another dimension. You have to learn new things. You have to bring in new information into your body, into your setting, into your mindset. And you have to build assets, understand the fundamentals of investment. There are a lot of people who are doing investment in Nigeria beside us, and we don't even know. You see, buying and selling things, and you call yourself an entrepreneur is not the real deal. The real deal is your ability to manage money. There are people who are earning big, but they have nothing to show for it. But there are people who are earning little, but they have so much to show for it. So it's you that will determine what you got going on for yourself. In this our continuous Tuesday online business meeting, I'm poised to show us various aspects of life that can help you triumph in the area of our finances. So what exactly does the book also teaches in today's part 2 we want to talk about? It talks more about the importance of financial education. See, let me tell you the truth. We all go to school, and we have all been either to primary school or secondary school or university. Some of us here, we even have PhD. We have PhD in economics, we have PhD in commerce, we have PhD in biology, we have PhD in science. And all of these PhDs is not bringing money to us than our salary. It's not bringing so much wealth to us. That education that will bring wealth to you is called the financial education. And that's the education that you should spend your time on. You should spend your time to learn, to acquire. It's very, very important. If you're not spending your time to acquire it, if you're not spending your money to pay out of the ordinary, to go and learn more about finance, about investment, about how to build wealth, I can guarantee that it's going to be very difficult. The struggle will be very, very difficult. So the core concept of the book includes that financial education is extremely important. building and acquiring income-generating assets is also as important as financial education. Understanding between the difference between assets and liability, and then escaping the rat race. Some of us were there last week. We talked about the rat race. You remember? Yeah. You have to escape the rat race through smart investment, and also learning how to make money work for you, not you working for money. We talked about that too last week. Now, what are all these concepts about? The whole essence of this concept is for us to be able to be financially independent as we grow older. Because as we grow older, there are certain energy we will not have anymore. There are certain effort we will not be able to put into life anymore. Even when we have the mind that we want to do it, but the body can't do it anymore. Because the body naturally gets weaker. Even when you have your mindset, or your heart is a young heart, you have a young heart, you have a young thinking, you are in your 55, 60, you're already getting older. And there's no way you can be running up and down like you would do in your 24, 25, or 30. So, as we go older, things getting weak for us physically. And then, as long as you cannot put effort in creating wealth, then it becomes a problem in getting money. The only time we have all the energy is when we're younger, we have the capacity. And when we have the capacity, we should not just put energy in what will bring money for us. Based on our energy, we should put money in what will bring money for us, even when our energy depletes. When your energy depletes, that is when you will know that you could have done it in a better way, much, much earlier in your life. And most people will not appreciate lessons and teachings like this until one day, someday, they will remember. Like I used to tell some of my friends, this is the same thing we have all been hearing and learning, and I'm talking about since 2000. And if I'm not mistaken, I wrote my first book in 2001. That 2001, I remember we have held 1 or 2 seminars. We've been talking about money, why people should invest in real estate, what we should invest in this and invest in that. 2001. If you look at 2001 and today that we're talking with you, this is 24 years after. If some of the things I was talking about with some of my friends 24 years ago, they were listening, they were not just listening, they were reacting. Because 24 years ago, if I remove it from my age now, I know how old I was. If you are listening to me tonight, if you remove 24 years from your age, you know how old you have been that time. And imagine if you have heard about anything concerning finances 24 years ago, and you actually acted the way you had them, and you put those things to work, possibly high chances that there are possibilities that you won't be where you are today when it comes to finances. Of course, there are challenges in this world. There are marital challenges, there are family issues, there are educational issues. And if you calculate 24 years ago till now, there are a lot of things, most of us, virtually all of us hearing my voice tonight, we've gone through so many things. There are always the challenges in life. But one thing is certain. When you plant a tree today, 24 years after, that tree will not be a dwarf. It will be a big tree. That is only if you have planted that tree 24 years ago. If you say you are busy and you put the seed in your pocket, while you are struggling with life up and down, the seed was still in your pocket. The seed was in your pocket for another 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and then 24 years later, you put your hand in your pocket and find out, this seed is still here. I should have planted it 24 years ago. You find out that you don't have a tree. And as you are growing older, as old person, our parents, when they are old and they are just relaxing, they sit under the tree in front of their house. They just sit under the tree where there's shade. If you don't plant the tree, where will you see a shade where you will retire? That's the question. That's the question all of us should ask ourselves. So it is imperative and very, very important that when you are hearing teachings, lectures, information about finances, about financial freedom, about investment, about things that will change your future, that we don't just listen, or we don't just hear those things and let it enter our right ear and come out from the left ear, and that is the end. When we hear things like that, we should not just hear them, we should also implement them. We should put them to work. Because, like I said, if some of the things we heard 24 years ago, we put everything to work, apparently we will not all be where we are today, including myself. I'm talking to you. I won't be where I am today if I had put all my eggs in that one basket. I won't. Yeah, I did very little. I could have done much more than what I did then. And that little I did then is what is helping me today. I don't know about you. I don't know where you were 24 years ago, but I'm just telling you, if you deduct 24 years ago from your age now, you know where you should have been, you know what you heard that time. If you had done some of the things you heard, possibly. Some of us, we had the opportunity to go and buy a plot of land at Ikorodu, 120,000, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 70,000. That's how much they were selling land in Ikorodu. Look at how much they're selling it today. Where people started living in Lagos, Maryland, Onikpa, Pangrove, Shomolu, the next avenue where they were moving to was Ikorodu. Ikorodu was just developing that time. Some of the people were smart to go there to buy land for 50,000. They know the worth now. So there are times in our life that we hear words, we take yield, and sometimes we do not. It's not about how much how much qualification in education, in conventional school we have. It's not about your HND, your PhD, your doctorate degree, your master's in whatever. It's much more about your ability to be proactive when you hear smart things to have to do with your life or with your money. What are the summary of this? Why teach financial literacy? Because financial literacy was never and will never be taught in school. In fact, if I have my way, I will just ask my children to go to school for the sake of school. But the real issue is to teach them financial education outside of school. Because financial education is not taught in schools. Nobody will teach you because they don't want you to know about it. So you have to learn about finances either through life. And of course, when life teaches you a lesson, it won't teach you a lesson before the exam. It teaches you a lesson after you have either failed the exam. That's how life teaches us, all of us. So it's either you learn financial education through literature, through life, or you learn it from teachers, from mentors, from people who have gone through things in life. And I can tell you, and then the horrific part of it is that when they are even teaching you, do you listen? Do you adhere to what they are teaching you? Do you take the advice? Do you ignore? Do you pretend to hear what they're saying, or you just feel like, okay, you've had them and that was all? Because either you like it or not, I have to be honest with you that there's no other way. Seed time and harvest time will not cease. That is the plan of God for humanity, for life. Earth, if this earth remains, seed time and harvest time will not cease. It's the same thing. God doesn't live with prejudice. No. Either you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Babalawo, you are Afar, you are Indian, you are Hindu, whatever you are. If you plant a seed, if you plant tomato, you get tomato. You don't need prayer point for it. If you set the principal law of financial freedom in place, regardless of your religion, so it has nothing to do with your Christianity or your prayer point. And I have to be honest about this. It has nothing to do with your bishop laying hand on you. It has to do with understanding the concept of financial multiplication, putting those concepts into practice. If you don't put it into practice, you have nothing to pray about. If you put the seed in your pocket and keep praying, let this seed germinate and grow and bear fruit, your prophet will only pray and pray and pray. All that prayer will be in full time. So the main whole idea is to become wealthy. You must know the difference between assets and liability and focus on acquiring assets. That is the only it. You have to focus on acquiring assets. Virtually most of us don't even know the difference between assets and liability. We think everything we buy, they're all assets. They are not. Majority of them are not. And the mistake we also make is that we buy little, small liability, and we will keep hoping that one day I will have enough money to buy big assets. That is the fallacy. That's a huge deception from the pit of hell. That's why most people are where they are today. Majority of us 10 years ago, we don't have enough money, so we can't be little money to buy liability and believing that one day I will work hard and make so much money so that I can buy assets. That day, most cases, 99.999% don't often come by. Because even the Holy Bible have said it, the Holy books have said it, it's in the Quran too, that despise not the days of little beginning. So if you have a little money and you don't know how to put that little money into assets, you put it into liability, thinking that until you have big money, that's when you can buy land, that's when you can buy this, that's when you can buy big things that you do like assets. You will never get that big money to buy assets, because the more liability you acquire, the more money comes to your house. You keep acquiring liability, and that I can tell you, those are all liability, including the clothes you are wearing, including the house rent, including your car, your vehicle. They are all liability. If that vehicle is not bringing money, if you're not using for transportation, it's a liability. Lesson 2 from this same chapter 2. The rich buy assets. The poor, the middle class, buy liability, and they thinking they are assets. There are so many things that some of us we bought. We think those things are assets, but they're actually liability. Rich people focus on growing their wealth through assets that generates income. And many people mistakenly that their home, their car, or expensive items are assets, but these often drain money rather than generating money. Whatever you buy that does not bring in extra money for you is a liability. I repeat, whatever you buy, whatever you have bought this year, that thing does not bring money for you is a liability. And you can all go through it. We can all go through it. Whatever is that thing you have bought this year, last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that thing by itself is not bringing money for you, that thing is a liability. So search your heart as I'm speaking to you. Now you understand what I'm talking about. And of course, most of us, all of us, we bought one thing or the other, apart from the food that you eat at home. You bought this, you bought this, you bought this, and that thing isn't bringing money by itself. So we have to start at that point, start thinking deep. What are the things I'm buying with my money that is not bringing money more for me? If I'm buying something and that thing doesn't have the capability to bring an extra money for me, then that thing doesn't worth it. And you see, the funny thing is that you buy it, it doesn't, to you it's small money, but it's taking so much away from you. The next lesson is financial education is more important than just making the money. I repeat, financial education is way more important than making the money. Because if you make the money and you don't have the financial education, the money will go into the thing here. You will not be able to account for it. And that is why some children, they come from rich home. By the time their parents die and they take over the money, that money disappears because they don't know how to manage it. Because knowing how to manage and grow money is the key to becoming wealth. So your ability to grow. So it's not how much you make, it's not how much salary you get, it is actually your ability to manage little money. If you can't manage little resources, then it's a problem. Anyone that's little is committed into his hand, then much will be committed more into his hand. But if the little one is committed into your hand and you cannot manage that little, then much will not be committed to your hand. So without financial literacy, even those with high income, they end up being broke. There are a lot of footballers who are broke. There are a lot of people who are playing basketball in America after making so much money. There are a lot of people who are playing soccer after making so much money, they end up being broke. Hundreds of them, you can count. Go online, you see them. There are a lot of Nigerian football players that they make so much money in their heydays, and when they grow older and they retire, they don't have anything left. It's because that knowledge is lacking in their life, and that is why you have to go extra mile. Because whatever is worth doing well. In fact, before you start acquiring the wealth, you need the knowledge of management of that wealth. If financial education is not there, then it's a problem. The next thing is understanding cash flow pattern of the rich and the poor. The rich and middle class people, middle class individuals often earn money through a job and spend it on liability. And that's what the book says. The rich reinvest earnings into assets that create more income for them. For example, real estate, business, and stock. If I'm to ask everybody listening to me tonight, how many of you have bought stock this year since January? We're already in April. 4 months is gone. Before you close your eyes and open it, Jack Robinson. Before you say Jack Robinson, August will come, November will come, December will come. How many of you have bought stock this year? If you have, let me see your hand up. If you have, how many of us have bought stock this year? You know why we are not buying stock? Because we are always waiting for when we have enough money to do things. And it's always a wrong concept, because you never have money to do it. You always have money to do other things, smaller things convenient in your area. Smaller things convenient. As you're walking on the street, you see something, I say, I want to buy this thing, let me quickly buy it. And when you have 20,000, 30,000, you buy this one, the money don't finish. You have to struggle again to look for another money. If you have not bought stock this year, it shows that that's your habit. It's a poverty mentality habit. That you believe that every other thing you buy is worth more than the assets you're buying. When you buy more of liability, you buy less of asset. It's a problem, because your lifestyle will outgrow your assets. If you have not bought stock, the second question, how many of you this year have started a new business this year, or you have reinvested money into your current business this year? How many of you have done that? I know maybe a few of us should have done that. You should have done that. If you are here, you are listening to my voice, and you have not done that, then you have a problem. If you have business and you have not reinvested a huge amount of money in your business this year, then you have a big problem. Because if I ask the third one now, I'm not even sure maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of us will be able to raise up their hand. How many of you this year, January to April, now you have bought real estate, even though it's a farmland, and you have carried money this year from January to April? Count that money, even though it's 200, 300,000, 100,000, or 500, you have counted money and paid that for this land. How many of you have done that this year? If you have not done that this year, then you have a big problem. The easiest one should be your personal business. If you have not invested money in your business this year, it is not that it's a problem for you not to do it. It becomes a problem because it only shows the regular occurrent attitude and habits you have cultivated in your life. That attitude and habit you cultivated is what has brought you to where you are today. It is what has brought me to where I am today. If 5 months, 6 months in a whole year has gone by and you did not make any effort to reinvest either into stock, gold, real estate, anything that is called assets, 6 months has come and gone, I can bet you the remaining 6 months is always a struggle. That should have been the first target for every year of your life. 24 years ago, if you say between January and June every year, by June to the end of the year, you don't mind, you don't care. But every year, first 6 months, my struggle is to make sure I save money to tie something down. I can bet you would have been better off today after 24 years. I know most of you know Pastor Olumide Emmanuel. He's a very popular man out there. He speaks about money, money, money. And I remember 24 years ago, I invited him to come and talk in one of the gatherings I set up for young people that time. We're all young people that time. And all the things I'm sharing with you today are the things he was saying that time. This man is not a small man today. Some of you know him very well. He's one of my mentors. And I'm not shy to talk about it. And you and I, you're listening to me. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are at the moment or where you have ever been. But the truth cannot be overemphasized. That either we all like it or not, money will only aggravate and move towards people who appreciate it. If you appreciate money, you will always spend that money in something that is called access, much more than liability. Your transportation is a huge liability. Your house rent is a huge liability. Everything you spend money on that is not bringing the money back. If you're buying a machine, use that machine to produce wealth. Then that becomes an asset. Another key takeaway is that it's not how much money you make, it is how much you keep. So it's not amount of salary. Since I've ever been working and collecting salary in my life, those times I was. It has never been how much I make. In fact, when I wasn't collecting salary, I remember then some many years ago, I see bank managers. I'm talking about even that time when Oshoni Bank and all those banks before they collapsed. I have some of my friends working in the bank. As at that time, they were collecting 500,000, 300,000 per month as salary. I couldn't even boast of earning 20,000 every month. But my life was better than them. And I never envied them despite the fact they were working in the bank. As I speak to you today, tonight, I have people who are earning salary times 10 of what I'm earning as per income every month. But my life is way more better than their life because I understand the concept of if I have a little money, I can manage it and still save than even though I'm making so much and I don't have anything to show for it. Learning to retain and grow what you earn is extremely crucial. It's a lifestyle of discipline that everybody that wants to make a change in his or her life or the future, and for the sake of your children, that you have to master and discipline yourself. You don't use all your hands to eat. And that's why you have two hands. Because you have two hands, you only use your right hand to eat, and the left hand is meant to keep something inside it. So when you work hard, you put your savings in your left hand and throw it somewhere you don't touch until it has grown for bigger investment. Takeaway 5. I want to make sure I work. Yeah, I'm just rounding up. Build and focus on your assets column. Build and focus on your assets column. And I'm saying this in all sincerity. Actively work on acquiring income. You have to consciously. It doesn't come on the road and jump on you. It doesn't happen like that. You have to consciously. You have to go out of your way. You have to deprive yourself. If it is to go fasting in your family because you are having certain savings towards your future, it's worth it. There are easy, simple ones. If you don't have big money to go and buy big houses, big land, or buy, there are easy ones you can use small money to do. It's not even the amount you use in doing this thing. It is the habit that you cultivate in doing it that becomes a great asset for you. Because if you don't have habit of saving, if you don't have the habit of buying small stock or buying assets, is that habit you have to start with. If you are the kind of person that you say you are a foodie, I must eat, you must eat, you are a foodie. You just eat your way to hell. At the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it. The time to eat is coming. Some of you have seen on social media, Dangote's birthday, Obi Kubana's birthday. You see how these people were lavishing money. Obi Kubana is just 50 years old. If you and I listen to my voice tonight, remove your age from 50 years, you know how old you are. Even though you are not rich as Obi Kubana, what is your comfort? Tell anything about Shell and what can you rest on if anything happens now? May no bad thing happen. Even if it happens, you have children, small children. If anything happens to you, what is their comfort? Rental property can start with anything, even as low as chairs. You can collect your salary and buy a chair. White chair, those white chairs. You can be buying one chair every month. One chair every month. And be using that chair. If you are buying one chair last year, by now you have 1 dozen. And if you rent 1 dozen out of chair, you know how much you get. Every weekend, passive income coming to your pocket. You don't need to work for salary to collect rental property income. There are royalties. You can set up businesses. If you are still salary and you don't have time to set up business, then go into rental income. Chairs, pots. People are doing party every weekend. You can buy those catering things and be renting them out. You can buy chair canopy and be renting them out. By the time you have big money, you can go into bigger things. There are so many small businesses of things you can actually put money and start saving. The next one is don't rely solely on your employment. I just mentioned it. There's nothing bad about employment. There's nothing bad about salary. It's always a stepping stone. It's a seed God gave you to build bigger seeds. But if you stay on it and you don't want to improve on yourself or your life, then you stay on it until you grow older. The only worst thing is that you don't become a chameleon and metamorphose into something else when you grow older. That becomes a big problem for you. Job provide income but don't offer financial freedom. Develop sources of passive income to reduce dependency on your paycheck. While you are collecting paycheck, build passive income. And those are the things I just mentioned a few minutes ago. When you start having passive income, like let's say you have so many chairs, you have Marua, gradually you were doing rentals of chairs, and money was coming every weekend. So that means the money that's coming every weekend is enough for you to transport you to work for the next week, and even you give you food to eat. That means by the time month end you collect your salary, you even spend your salary. You cannot save your salary, and you need to now buy Keke Marua or buy Okada, and then give it to somebody again. They start paying you certain amount of money, and from there you buy big boss. You can buy Keledi Chuku. You can expand as long as you are disciplined, as long as you have your head together and you know what you are doing. The real game is cash flow, not net worth. And let me explain what they mean by this. The real game of making money and be financially free is cash flow, not just net worth. For example, oh, that guy is a big man, that guy is a rich man. No, we are talking about the net worth, and that can just be misleading if it's tied up to non-income generating assets. So you have to focus on cash flow, what's coming in versus what's going out. How much are we making? How much are we spending? How much is your salary? How much is your expenses by the end of the month? If your salary is 100,000 or 80,000 and you're spending 150,000 every month on makeup, shine your eye, shine your leg. You see this one you buy, you see that one you buy, and then your rent is there, everyone is there, and you're spending far more than your income, you're already in trouble. You have to learn whatever means, if you have to be cooking at home instead of buying food out there. If it warrants you to not go to certain places, where if you know that you go to a place and you will spend money rather than your house, it's not compulsory you must go. You have to learn to, if once you are building wealth, enduring wealth only answer to proper building. Any wealth that is not built properly will not endure, and it's only time that will tell. So the ball is in your court as you're listening to me tonight and analyzing this book, Rich Dad and Poor Dad, that the cash flow is what determines how can you create a business that will bring you income every week. And as that income is coming, you still have to make sure you cut down on your expenses, or else as money is coming in, everything keeps going into expenses. And this is how people build wealth. On that note, I will say thank you and God bless you.